All right, we're going to Florida. I didn't expect to be going down for a couple more weeks, but I was on the phone with my brother-in-law, my sister, and my friend. They all live together in Fort Lauderdale. They were like, just book a flight and come today. About an hour ago, I went online, booked a flight. It was 99 bucks, one way, nonstop on Spirit. Spirit's awful, but 99 bucks, can't beat it. I have like 1 hour to get all of my stuff ready to go. I just put all the canvas up on the boat because I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I'm gonna head down there and hopefully get a glimpse of how boat life is in Florida. I really need to learn about boating in the ocean, learn as much of that as I can, and meet as many people down there as I can, and I couldn't pass up this opportunity with a free place to stay, $100 flight booked 2 hours, 3 hours in advance. Just packed up all my camera gear, packed up some clothes. I gotta get going. See ya in a little bit, boat. It's 5 in the morning. Just got woken up by Gunner. We have the 3-hour drive over to Orlando on our way to Tampa. Tampa, we're hopefully hopping on a boat and getting a taste of this whole Florida boat life thing.
What up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
That's me! What up?
She looks like a marshmallow.
I am a marshmallow.
We're hopping in the Jeep right now. Got 4 hours of sleep last night, but let's get it going. It is awful that it's dark out when we're leaving.
He hates the dark. What can he say?
Right now, we're currently 3.5 hours away from where they live in Fort Lauderdale. We're in St. Pete, Florida. I started DMing some people on YouTube, and I sent a DM to a guy named Butch that lives on a really big boat down here in Florida. He's been doing it for a long time. We got a hotel very close to where his boat's located, and we're about to head over that way right now and meet up with him for the first time. He's gonna give us a full tour of the boat and hopefully give me a lot of insight on what it takes to be boating in Florida, because I know I am so unknowledgeable about ocean boating, saltwater boating in general, and just everything down here is a whole different animal. So it's gonna be really nice to be able to go over there, learn from him, and see if this is something that I can actually make happen. If I should bring my boat down here, maybe should I get another boat that's better suited for Florida? I don't know. I have a million questions for him. I'm excited to go see his boat and figure out what he's all about.
Make some viral content, make us some money
Hey,
for the fam.
All right, have fun.
Bye.
See ya. Big shout out to Ellie for letting us just take her Jeep everywhere. Oh, as I slam her keys into the ground. Let's do it. Pretty awesome of this guy to just let 2 random people from the internet that messaged him through YouTube to just come down and check out his really big, awesome boat that he's been living on forever. Every time I've ever been anywhere like this, I've always wanted to just go meet people at the marina and see what it's all about. And finally, 33 years into my life, making it happen.
Is this like what your ideal marina would look like?
I don't really have any expectations for what my marina would look like. Just as long as I got a spot to have it in the water and can cruise out whenever I want. In a dream world, I would love to have a house with a dock, and I just walk out, hop on the boat, and go. I don't really need a house, though. How's it going?
Welcome to the home port.
Dude, thank you so much. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice
Brandon.
to meet you. I'm Butch.
Yeah, this is Gunner. He's.
Hey, Gunner.
Hey, nice to meet you, man.
I appreciate you like just answering so quickly and letting us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what you're selling the boat, right?
Yeah, it actually just
Thank you.
sold, and so we'll be going to the new owners here shortly. They're longtime followers of my channel on
That's
YouTube.
Awesome.
And so they've been gracious enough to give me free reign of the boat until they take over. I'm going to get them some training opportunity and some know-how on how to run the boat.
Yeah.
The services that you need to do on the
Yeah, I can
vessel
only
to make sure it's
imagine.
ship shape.
Yeah, like boats this size compared to what I'm used to. I mean, even with my boat, there's so much to maintain. There's always something.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, but I have a lot of questions for you. So this is Butch, and he is extremely more knowledgeable on boating than I am. I mean, how long have you been living on a boat?
I've been living aboard for about 14 years now, and 8 of those years have been on this boat, and so I've had a couple of other boats previous to this one. and this has been my home port for a while. Got a lot of history here. My father had the second boat in this marina. My whole family lived on a sailboat back in the late 70s, early 80s, and then they sold the boat the day I was born. So
No way.
it's just kind of in my blood to come around full circle, and here we are.
That's incredible.
And my parents got married on their boat here in this marina, and I just got married to my wife back in March on board the boat.
No
here
way.
In the marina. So
Full circle.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
yeah,
That is awesome. So you have another boat lined up, I'm assuming.
Not yet. Gonna step back just a little bit, save some finances, and then.
But you're not you're not stepping away from boating now.
No,
Okay.
no. I do manage a few boats in the area, ranging from a 43-foot Marine Trader to 64-foot Hatteras, and soon to be a 70-foot Neptunus motor yacht. So it's definitely keeping me busy on the water.
So is it a bittersweet goodbye to this thing?
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you
absolutely.
Are you sad about it?
Yeah,
I can
definitely
imagine.
sad about it, but the time has come.
Yeah.
I've got my experiences and trips on the boat, so
Yeah.
ready to hand off the torch to the next owner and let them enjoy it and fulfill their dream.
Awesome. Well, do you want to first give us like a quick tour of the whole thing,
Yeah.
and then we can sit down and ask you some questions and get a lot of advice from you? Because
Absolutely.
I'm like, it's like hard to be as unknowledgeable as I am. Like you can't really know less than me about trying to boat in Florida. I've only ever boated up in Pennsylvania, and it's a whole different animal down here.
Yeah, definitely. It is a whole nother animal down here, but you'll definitely get the hang of it. I've trained others that were from Indiana, and they had experience on a 19-foot bow rider in a lake, and now they run a 64-foot yacht.
Okay, so there's hope for me.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Because right now I'm living on a 31-foot cruiser, so I mean, like, it's my first twin-engine boat. I've learned so much with it just this year, but the weather's starting to get a little chilly now, and I'm looking at my options for coming down here.
Yeah, time to head south with the birds.
100%. Yeah.
You can see it's a pretty beefy boat for a 44-foot vessel. She weighs about 44,000 pounds as well, so she's a heavy beast.
I know the number one rule of boating is no shoes on the boat.
Yeah, on the exterior you're fine wearing your shoes. When you
Okay.
go inside, you can kick them off and
Yeah.
just leave them up on deck. But we've got a nice teak deck here it's built for traversing around outside.
I'm not used to having this much outdoor space on
Yeah.
the boat.
Yeah, it's definitely, this boat, this DeFever model is very highly sought after. It is known for its exterior volume and interior volume. This is the biggest 44-foot boat you're going to come across, and you'll see why in a little bit. From the engine room to the Flybridge, it's pretty amazing. But here we are on the aft deck. This is where I pretty much spend the majority of the time outside. It's got full coverage back here. You've got comfortable seating all around. You've got your table, your wet bar, ice maker. Got a drink fridge out here that has a little freezer compartment there, so it's super comfortable out here. So you can imagine when you're out at anchor, cruising around, whatever, the views are just stupendous, and it's just such a great place to hang out. You can go down to the swim platform, get in the water. There's a little shower on the back of the boat for when you're coming out of the water and rinse off that seawater. So the next natural spot is up in the Flybridge. So we'll just go up this nice teak ladder here and come up to the control station. Watch your head here with the slider. And so this is the expansive Flybridge space. So got full coverage again with twin bimini tops up here forward and aft. And then you've got lots of seating around, storage under everything. We've got the sun deck here aft of us with a tender that has a 15 horsepower engine. So that's your grocery getter. When you need it, get to the island, whatever, take the dog out, whatever you need it for.
How much of a pain is it to to use like the little crane arm? I don't know the terminology.
Yeah, you can call it a crane arm, davit, whatever. It's actually pretty easy. I've launched and retrieved the dinghy by myself probably 300 times. And so it's not a big deal. It's got a tethered remote control, so you can be down on the next deck handling the boat while it's going down into the water or coming up.
Yeah,
so it's definitely doable.
This whole deck up here is just like so much nice extra space. I love that so much.
Yeah, and you can imagine when the dinghy's in the water, that adds to the living space, and a lot of the time that's where we'll hang out for our sunrise coffee or sunset cocktails. It's an awesome place to be.
I love the deck space. Like I'm immediately envisioning like if I didn't have I have a little mini trampoline there to be jumping off into the water.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is the primary spot that you run the boat from. We've got a nice Stid helm chair here, which I've sat in for hours and hours at a time, like 13 hours at a time almost in certain instances.
Looks like it's freshly reupholstered.
It is, yeah. I had it reupholstered last year.
Yeah.
And so just taking care of my baby here, making sure she's good to go. And
I mean, honestly, it's like better visibility than my little boat. Like, you can see everything from here.
yeah, it's really great. The helm is forward, so you can see out in front of you really well, and also it's very open towards the back. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're backed into the slip, obviously, so you can see where you're going when you're backing up, and that was just a really smart design by Arthur DeFever.
I mean, this still seems like it'd be quite a task to be backing this thing in, especially if you're by yourself.
It can be, yeah, and I've single-handed this boat a lot over the years,
Yeah.
but it's also circumstantial where you're pulling into, what the weather is like, the current. So, you know, certain places I wouldn't want to be doing it by myself. I'll definitely want somebody to help me out. My wife does a great job of handling lines and calling out distances and all of that stuff, so I don't crash into anything. But, you know, in a calmer spot, you can do it by yourself without too much of an issue.
Yeah, I've I have a parallel parking spot like where I'm at, and like we only have maybe like 3 to 4 feet on either end, so it's pretty tight. And like I was very stressed about it when I first started boating this year with my boat, and I'm like, I really don't want to hit these other people's boats. I don't like this. And then I took my boat down to downtown Pittsburgh, which was like a 3-hour boat ride away, and then the only spot they were going to give me for transient docking was a slip. And there was 2 boats in each slip, you know, so I had to like try to back in by myself at nighttime with the current pushing me into the other boat, and I got roasted in the comments on my channel, but
yeah, that's gonna happen. They're always so nice in the comments.
No matter what you do, you'll get feedback, but it's good. I mean, it's constructive most of the time.
Some of the time, yeah.
Some of the time.
You're definitely gonna have those situations where it gets hairy real quick, and you're gonna bump into stuff. You're gonna crash into things. It's gonna happen. You're gonna hit bottom. Stuff's gonna happen.
Hit bottom? You mean like actually like run like hit the bottom on like a shallow area out there?
Yeah, you know the saying goes, it's not if you're gonna hit bottom, it's when you're gonna hit a bottom. So you'll run aground at some point in time in your career.
I didn't know that was
because
we don't really. There's a few shallow spots on the rivers near me, but like everyone knows where they're at. It's like we don't have tides changing on us. The water level's the same all the time. So that's something I never even thought of. Is like if it's a common thing to run aground? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, just wait till you head south and you're in the Carolinas and Georgia area and come into St. Augustine. There's definitely some places you want to pay a little closer attention. And a word of advice when you're docking or in a precarious location, don't go any faster than you want to hit the dock.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that one. Is it so? One of the only like downsides of a trawler is really that just like they can't get on plane and cruise fast. Like you can't get where you're going super fast.
Correct. Yeah, you have to have patience when you're on a boat like this. It's not going to go fast. The top speed on this boat is around 9 knots. Yeah. So I did a sea trial just a couple of weeks ago. We did wide open throttle and we hit 9.3 knots. It was amazing. So had the wind in our hair and everything.
What's your fuel burn like when you're cruising like that?
So the average cruise speed on this boat is around 7 to 7.5 knots. And when you're cruising around that, and it depends on wind, current, waves, all that stuff. Yeah. But we burn about 2 gallons per hour per engine. So about 4 gallons per hour.
That doesn't seem bad for this.
Yeah, it's super efficient. For a boat of this size, you can cover some serious ground, especially with the tankage that you have on a boat like this.
Well, should we head to the bow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Dude, this is really making me want a trawler.
Yeah, I've sold many people on this style of boat coming aboard. Be careful coming down because it's a little slick coming down the ladder.
Yeah.
We'll go forward. We have partially covered side decks, but you've got the same space on either side of the boat. Got nice non-skid decks that we're walking on, and you'll see we're passing over where we do our fuel fill, water fill, and waste pump out. Here we are out on what we would call the foredeck or bow, and this is where we have our anchoring system. So we have a 73-pound Rockna anchor.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
With a mantis swivel and an oversized anchor windlass. So one of my pet peeves is not being able to sleep at night when you're anchored. So I want to make sure that we're going to be sitting securely, and this setup will do you right.
Okay, here's a question that I still don't even know on my own boat. is I have a big cleat mounted right next to mine, so I assume that it's probably not good to, like, if you get on anchor, it's not good to leave all that weight on the windlass.
Yeah,
right?
Correct. You definitely want to avoid putting all of that tension on the windlass itself. Now, I can get away with it a little bit because I've got such an oversized windlass, but if I'm going to be in an area that I'm going to be anchored overnight, or there's going to be a lot of wind or waves or whatever, I'm going to set up an anchor bridle system that I'll hook to the chain and run 2 lines to a couple of cleats. So then you'll have a loop in your chain, and all the tension goes to nylon lines to your cleats, and then you can...
So then there's slack between that and the windlass, so there's nothing is being...
Takes all the pressure off your windlass.
Awesome.
Yep, and then when you're bouncing around, you're not shock loading anything, so it's definitely the way to go.
And for anybody that is like even less knowledgeable than me about boating, I only learned this terminology recently, but a windlass is literally just a massive electronic machine, basically, that just lowers and raises your extremely heavy anchor for you. So that way, like smaller boats like I used to have, you have to just throw your anchor in, let out all the rope manually, and then pull it back up manually. But the windlass, you just push a button and it comes back up, drops down. It's kind of nice.
And you don't want to ever take it for granted. Make sure you maintain your windlass, because when you really need it, you want it to work. And there's many instances you go to use it and the damn thing's not pulling the anchor up, and then you got to manually do it. So service it, make sure it's in good functioning order.
What's your take so far, Gunnar, on a trawler lifestyle?
I'm in awe of this, especially after being on your boat.
Yeah.
Like, just the amount of space we have. I think for someone who knows not too much about boating, like, this just feels like a home.
This is enormous, and we haven't even seen anything on the inside yet.
Just wait till you see the inside. All right, so we can go down this side since we haven't been down this way. Be mindful of the shore power connection. We've got a 50 amp shore power cord that's feeding all the power to the boat. So it goes all the way back to the power pedestal. You can see we've got an e-bike back here as well. I got a lot of space.
Crucial to have the e-bike, I mean, I put my e-bike on the back of mine, but it's just like, it takes up my whole swim platform, and there's like barely any room to move.
Yeah, absolutely, and that can be fun when you're trying to handle lines and do something that's critical and something's in your way. You'll find out that gets real frustrating real quick.
Big time, especially going through the locks on the river, and you have to have a 100-foot line passing it, and it's like very high stress in there, and then we have 2 bikes in our way.
And it's all good and dandy when you're in those freshwater environments, but you'll find out once you get into the saltwater environments, get salt spray on these guys, you're gonna have to stay up on I've had some people leaving me comments mentioning, like, if I were to leave my bike on the back of my boat, like all the salt spray from it, which is another thing I didn't really think of. I'm just thinking of like the part that is touching the water, that would be super corroded, but I didn't think about everything up here also getting corroded. Yep, absolutely. It's a constant battle against the salt and sun.
Yeah. Shall we head inside?
Yeah, let's go on inside. Go down a few steps into the cabin from the aft deck, and you'll hit that nice cool air down here.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so here you go. This is the main living space, and you can see it's nice and comfortable down here. You've got a lot of windows all around. You have a couple of doors that open up so you can get a cross breeze, and if you're running the boat down here at this lower helm, you can pop out on deck nice and easy. But
quick access to things that you need.
Yep, exactly.
One thing I noticed quickly was the oh shit bar.
Yep.
I don't feel like I would want to be on a boat this big, like in seas where you're like, you need this, That seems scary to me.
Yeah, it's definitely crucial when you're out in a seaway, cruising offshore, and man, it's sobering when you are out tossing around. Trying to do any menial task is so much more difficult. And so having something to grab onto is really important. Keep yourself from injuring your foot or arm or whatever. So, but I mean, this boat is pretty solid, but I've been in some pretty nasty weather and seas, and it's tossed me around pretty good. We've got our lower helm, like I mentioned. All of the controls are the same down here as they are up at the Flybridge, so when the weather does get nasty, it's cold or rainy or windy or whatever, you can operate from down here, which I've done many times.
Yeah.
You can see out the front of the boat, and there's a lot of windows. You can open up the door and see out the back as well. And we've got a TV, video monitoring equipment throughout. We have Starlink internet on board, so you can stay connected wherever you go. I work remotely, so that's critical to have, and it works great.
Yeah.
You can be out at anchor and have full fast internet wherever you go.
Do you have fast internet when you're here at the marina?
Yeah, so you have the option of either having Starlink,
Yeah.
or you can actually have, I have another antenna called Island Time Wi-Fi, so you can connect to the Marina Wi-Fi, but that's hit or miss wherever you go. A lot of the time Marina Wi-Fi is not very good, but it's a good backup. If you're in severe weather and the satellite stuff gets knocked out, you can switch over to Marina Wi-Fi.
You mean like from when you're out?
No, you can
Or
be
like-
anchored out as long as you can, so that antenna can reach, I think, 7 miles.
Of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so as long as you can log into.
So say you had a
that
house like
connection.
in St. Pete and you had your Wi-Fi at home, you could
Yeah.
hypothetically connect to your Wi-Fi at home?
Yeah, hypothetically, as long as
Yeah.
there's a straight shot to it and you
Yeah.
don't have a building blocking you or anything.
No
but,
way.
So that's kind of a nice thing to have. But also when you're at the dock, you can have cable internet
Yeah.
connected to the boat just like you're at home and have your standard fast internet. But
amazing, yeah.
Starlink I've been using almost primarily for the last year now, and it's been great.
I've just heard Starlink isn't that great if you're around a populated area, but
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really had any issues yet. I mean, this is a pretty populated area and it works great.
Yeah.
I've been down to the Keys, used it down there, and a lot of different ports over my 400-mile journey.
now does
during that trip.
this marina allow like live aboard? Like if you wanted to live on this, they allow that?
Yeah, this is a well-known live-aboard marina. It's one of the most modestly priced
Yeah.
slip fees in Florida. There's, several marinas around the area that allow liveaboards, but not every marina allows liveaboards. And
Yeah.
if they do, sometimes they're limited to a certain number of slips. To continue the tour here, we got a nice couch over here that I installed a few years back. You have your dining room table here and an L-shaped settee for hanging out. Got my laptop there. That's where I do a lot of my day-to-day business.
Yeah.
And then just aft, we have a galley up. So we've got a U-shaped galley with all of the appliances that you typically have at home, minus a dishwasher.
Yeah, so are most boats like this, they don't have the kitchen up like this? It's like down a level, right?
Yeah, it's kind of half and half. Some boats have galley down, some have galley up. I prefer galley up because you're part of the action. You're not down in the dungeon washing dishes or cooking a meal.
I love it here because it's just like all one big living space. Like if you're cooking, hanging out, I feel like it'd be kind of, it wouldn't be as inviting if it was down below. But
Yeah, exactly. And I've had a galley down, and this is way better.
yeah, this is awesome. I
And
like
you have
this a
2
lot.
windows there that open up, so you get a good breeze. You can hand drinks and food out to the aft deck to your friends.
Yeah.
And it's a real functional spot. And one characteristic of that U shape is also important when you're out at sea. It gives you something to brace against when you're moving around.
Yeah, it's like getting crazy. Yeah.
Yep. And then we've got 2 refrigerators that have freezer compartments in them.
And are
over
these
here.
like to lock them in or something?
Yeah, you can use those to lock it in, but that's just kind of a pull thing for my catch-all drawers. But these refrigerators are dual voltage, so you can run off your batteries or you can run off of your alternating current if you're running your generator or connected to shore power.
Hey, well, where to next?
So let's head forward. So this is a 2-stateroom boat. Guest cabin is forward, master cabin is aft. And the engine room access is actually down from the forward cabin.
Oh, okay.
And
It's below us here.
So yeah,
the
this
engine room.
this whole space that we're standing above right now is the footprint of the engine room. So we'll go down into the forward cabin here. It's a V-berth setup. It's a nice space. It's comfortable. I've had many people sleep up here.
Yeah.
And there is an insert here to make this into a full bed, or you can just leave it kind of in that V configuration and sleep a couple of different people there. And just behind you is a wet head. So there is
so you got like the full.
Yep, there's a toilet in there.
Wow.
There is a shower, but I've never used the shower in there. This wet head is just, the water gets everywhere.
Yeah, that's how mine is.
Yep. And then you've got your hatch up above you so you can get extra ventilation, or that's also an escape hatch if you need to get out.
I don't like to think about that.
And so then just aft of the forward cabin is the main engine room access. So it is a walk-in engine room. You just have to squat over a little bit. So just watch your head and your back and we'll just go on in.
I wish I had this much space to work on my motors. I'm like trying to take pieces of the motor apart just to have access to get to places I need to get to on mine. But
yeah,
this is insane.
It's a pretty amazing space. For some, it can be a full stand-up engine room if you're short enough.
Yeah.
For me and you got to crouch over a little bit, but I usually have a bucket here so I can sit and contemplate life and figure out what the hell I need to do to fix the boat.
I know what you mean.
And be down here for hours at a time, which I've done many, many times. But here's the main workhorses. You've got your Ford Lehman diesel engines. And so you've obviously got good space to work around them and maintain them and make sure they're behaving properly.
I guess there's some parts that would kind of be a pain to get to, but I mean, you can't really complain. You got access to like everything.
Yeah,
like, your pulleys, everything on the front.
Yeah, exactly. The front of the engine and the inboard sides are easy to access. The outboard sides, there are battery boxes on either side, which I have 12 batteries on board to power the DC voltage on board the house system.
Yeah.
So that does make it a little troublesome when I'm working on the outbound side of the engines, but it's still doable. And then just behind me is another engine, and this is the diesel generator. This is a 12.5 kilowatt diesel generator. So this will run all of the electronics on board, all the components that need AC current, the air conditioners, the water heater, all that good stuff, and it works great. I've rebuilt the back end of the engine, which that was, you can see a video on that on my channel. That about broke me in more than one way.
Yeah.
And then we have two big tanks on either side. You'll see one side says starboard, the other side says port. You'd be amazed on how backwards you can be when you're down in this space.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That, like, for a second I was like, that seems kind of ridiculous to have them labeled, but then now I'm already thinking like we're facing backwards, so it's opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it would be very easy to get mixed up here.
Exactly. So those are the freshwater tanks. So some boats you can connect straight up to the dock with a hose, and you have city supplied fresh water to use. Or you can use your onboard freshwater. This boat only has onboard freshwater. I don't even have the ability to connect a hose, which I actually prefer because it keeps the tanks nice and clean and fresh and ready to use, and onboard systems working properly. So when you do get off the dock, you know it's going to work.
Exactly.
You're not going to find out the hard way when you get offshore. And so I can carry 350 gallons of fresh water at any given time. And that will get me about 2 weeks of liberal usage of potable water on board before I have to refill them. And I do have a water maker on board as well, but I've actually never used it because by the time I've burned through 350 gallons, I'm ready to go to a marina and fill up.
So a water maker, is that literally take ocean water and make it into usable water?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it will take salt water and strip all of the salts out of the water and filter it down to a level that it's acceptable for drinking water.
That's crazy. But so you don't ever use that system?
Never, I've never needed it. So I've never touched it. A lot of people who go out to the Bahamas and down in the Caribbean will use that a lot, but I haven't really needed it. And it's another piece of equipment that you have to maintain.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a couple of big tanks on either side of me here. That's the fuel. So technically this boat can hold close to 950 gallons of diesel fuel. So you can go from here in St. Petersburg down to the Virgin Islands on one tank of fuel. So
do you know what the mileage is on that?
You can get about 2 miles a gallon on this boat.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so the distance is somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 miles to get there.
It's literally, my boat gets 1 mile per gallon. It is, how much you say this boat weighs?
44,000 pounds.
My boat weighs about 11,000 pounds. It weighs a quarter of the weight of this boat, and I get half the fuel economy that he gets on this enormous boat that you could literally live on so easily. Like, there's so much space on this. My little tiny boat. The only thing I got on him is my boat can go fast.
Yeah.
That's really the only plus I got.
Yeah, and the other thing to mention also, since it's nice and cool in here, there's 3 zones of air conditioning throughout the boat. So there's one forward, midship, and aft, so it keeps it nice and cool.
Is that normal on these, or like, did you do that?
It came with 3 air conditioners. I've replaced them altogether since I've owned the boat.
Yeah.
Made them more simplistic and efficient and powerful, so it helps on the very hot days here in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, this feels great in here right now compared to outside. I'm literally just walking, not doing any exertion of energy, and I'm just sweating.
Yeah, it's crazy, but the one thing is the water is so warm that we're floating in, and seawater is pumping through the air conditioner to transfer that heat out. And you can imagine when the water's 90, 95 degrees, it's not that efficient, so it can...
Didn't even think about that.
Something else you have to maintain to make sure everything's running properly. So this is the master stateroom. and we have a centerline queen berth. So it's a nice big bed that you can walk all around. It makes life a lot easier to make your bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And we have 9 opening port lights in this stateroom, including 2 gigantic ones in the back there. So those double as being an escape hatch if you need to get out of the boat. Hopefully you never have to do that, but also you open those things up and you've got great ventilation.
Yeah.
Which, that's one of the downfalls of having a master stateroom in the back of a boat. When you're at anchor, you don't get as much airflow as you would with a boat that your master cabin is up in the bow of the boat. On either side, we've got drawers. We have a big closet here. Let's see if we can pan in there. So I've got a freezer in there, vacuum, storage, all that good stuff. You can put a washer dryer in there if you wanted to.
That's insane.
And then we've got our own air conditioner back here. It will freeze you out at night. It's great. And then just forward there is the head.
Yeah, with the separate shower.
Yeah, you
that's
got a stall
game
shower
changing right there. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't like the wet head where your whole bathroom is getting wet because you're showering in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how my boat is, and it's one of my least favorite things about it. But
and then you gotta use that toilet paper and it's soggy. It's like, damn.
I have already ruined probably 4 or 5 rolls, brand new rolls of toilet paper that I just didn't even realize they were sitting somewhere where they got hit with a little bit of water and they just soaked it all up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I bought this boat, the toilets that came with the boat were manual. You had to hand pump them to flush the toilet, and they were raw water-fed toilets. And so they would stink, they would get clogged up all the time. So I yanked those out and put electric freshwater toilets on board, and they've been a game changer as well.
It seems like you've done a lot of work to this.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, and for the last 8 years, I've put my blood, sweat, and tears, every bit of it, into this boat.
I mean, I can tell it's like
my pride and joy.
meticulous in here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
That's
you.
crazy.
All right, this video ended up being a lot longer than I expected, so in 3 days, I'll be posting part 2 where I interview Butch and learn a lot about the lifestyle of living down here and get a lot more insight into what it takes to boat down here. So stay tuned for that. Once it's posted, I'll have a link in the corner of this video that'll take you straight there, as well as a link in the description, as well as a link in the description to Butch's channel. Definitely go give his channel a follow, leave some comments, let him know that you came from my channel, because he is such an awesome and welcoming guy, and I'm so thankful for him to just take us in like this, let us on his boat, strangers from the internet, teaching me so many things that I need to know. It's been amazing. He's an awesome guy, and I am in love with the trawler lifestyle. I want one of these boats so bad. So we'll see what happens when we go back to Pennsylvania, but stick around for part 2 coming soon, and thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you for the next one.